of the planet Earth below them. And Chad was just chilling out. He was just loving it. Because Chad works very hard as a police officer and he needed a day off to relax. It was giving him good perspective. Anyway, so then they eventually landed on the moon. It was pretty cool, but a little bit boring because there were no animals or anything on the moon. Nothing at all. And they looked around and went, well, I mean, jumping up and down on the moon's fun, but there's not a lot going on, is there? And then Andy said, tell you what, all right, what if, get in my clock, go back in time, see what the moon was like 100 million years ago, or even further back in time? And everyone went, that's a blooming brilliant idea. Let's do that. Yes. And so Andy got his clock out of the spaceship. It was pretty heavy. And he put it down on the moon. And all the dust went where the clock had landed. And they went, right, where should we go? Let's go back as far as we can. And so Andy set the dial to the furthest back that the clock could go, which is pretty much near enough as far back as time can go. And so they climbed in the clock. Well, you know, it did its thing. Dong, dong, dong. And they all went, ready, steady, woo! And they flew through the clock. And then they appeared still on the moon. But the moon was like nothing you've ever seen. It was a new moon. Isn't that nice? And what scientists don't know, or haven't realised yet, is that the moon is actually where the dinosaurs came from in the first place. For the purposes of this story. And they looked around and there was like rivers and lakes and waterfalls and loads of trees and wildlife. And they turned around and they spotted a stegosaurus. Oh, it was so cool. And the stegosaurus spotted them and it went, and it had quite a fright, and it led it to the other side of the moon, as far away as it could get. And they went, we really spooked that stegosaurus. What a day. Who knew the moon used to look like this? And they looked down at the earth, and the earth was all still just like molten lava and stuff. It was still quite new, but the moon, well, the moon was glorious. And then they thought, well, let's carry on and go for a little trip around the moon. So that's what they did. And they went around the moon and they looked at all the crazy animals that lived on the moon. Like the pteranodons were there and the T-Rexes were there and the Ankylosaurus and the Brontosaurus. All the dinosaurs were there. And they said, well, I never knew that this was where the dinosaurs started. I wonder how they got to planet Earth in the first place. That is a mystery. Anyway, so then they came to this lovely, glorious waterfall. And they started swimming about in the waterfall and having the best time. Because they'd got a bit hot and sweaty on the flight over. And this is blimmin' lovely. Until disaster struck. Well, what happened next was a big gurgling sound happened. And they were all swimming around and they looked around and went, and what was happening was that the waterfall in the pool was starting to drain away. Just like when you let the water out of the bath, it was swirling and swirling and swirling. And they were all like, ah! Alexander and Christopher and Auntie Lisa were swimming, and the Hares of Havoc were swimming, and Sky was doing doggy paddle, and Andy was trying to do some backstroke, and Chad was doing his best super cool front crawl because, you know, he's very cool. And they were like, oh my God, how are we going to get out of here alive? This is a nightmare. Swirling and swirling and swirling and swirling. And, we're going to drown. It's going to be the end of us all. Ah! Just as they thought all hope might be lost, Alexander and Christopher remembered that they'd packed a climbing rope. And they quickly whipped it out of the bag and then went like a lasso and hooked it onto the tail of the Stegosaurus that was nearby. Hooked it right round the Thagomizer, they did, and pulled it tight. And everyone grabbed hold and they went, ready, steady, and they gave it a big yank. And the Stegosaurus went, what? And then ran as fast as it could, and everyone held on tight to the rope as the water swirled and swirled around them and drained and drained and drained away and went pew! And they flew out of the water. And then they let go of the rope that was still tied around the Stegosaurus's tail. And I went, oh my God. Okay, what has happened to the moon? All the water had drained away like a plug had been lifted out of the moon's stopper drain hole. Anyway, and it all drained away into the middle, I guess, of the moon, where they suppose it froze. And all the water was gone. And all the animals were like, what are we going to do? And then Alexander and Christopher and Auntie Lisa and Andy and everyone went, oh no, we've come back to the time when the moon died. This is a really sad day. I really feel like we should help the animals, but it might change the course of history. But, as you know, Alexander, Christopher, Auntie Lisa and Andy and Chad and Sky, the Hares of Havoc, are all animal lovers. And so what they did was this. They got big rope. And all the animals, now this is a bit crazy and wouldn't normally be advisable. All the dinosaurs held on tight to the big rope. They said, come with us if you want to live. And the dinosaurs seemed to instinctively know that if they didn't, they were definitely going to die. Anyway, so they all held on to the rope. All the T-Rexes. It was a very long rope. I mean, there weren't that many there, but it was still quite a long rope. T-Rexes and Stegosauruses and everyone held onto the rope. And then they took the spaceship and they got back inside the spaceship, all the people, and they climbed it, and Sky, who's a dog, but it's fine. Anyway, got back inside the spaceship. And they went, okay, we've got to fly back to Earth with all the animals so we can save them. And they went, okie dokie. Right, hold on tight, T-Rex. Hold on tight, Stegosaurus. Hold on tight, Ankylosaurus. Stop hitting each other with your tails. And the animals, they knew, stopped hitting each other with their tails. And they went 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And Alexander and Christopher pressed the go button. And the spaceship took off into the air. Now, all the animals were still held on at the back of the spaceship, like woo, 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 which made the spaceship really hard to control, even though there's no actual air in space. Also, all the dinosaurs had to hold their breath. But luckily, it was a very quick journey because it was a super fast spaceship. And they made it all the way back to planet Earth. And then they thought, oh no, we didn't think about landing with all these animals. They're all going to die if we're not careful. So they slowed down over the sea and then released them all into the sea. The T-Rex is swimming in the sea. The Ankylosaurus is swimming in the sea. And they go, okay. And they landed quickly, the spaceship. And they went, we've got to quickly grab all the animals. So they called up Owen from Jurassic World. And he came out with his massive helicopters. He'd bought some Chinooks. They've got 2 swirly things. very good things, and nets, and they scooped up all the dinosaurs and took them to Jurassic World, where they all lived happily ever after. Now, they then took the spaceship back to the Science Museum. And Bob at the Science Museum said, "Did you have a nice trip?" And everybody went, Yep. Oh, really uneventful, yes, didn't get up to much. Yep. And then he said, "Why is there a big rope attached to the back of my spaceship?" And Alexander and Christopher went, "I don't know." And then he said, "Hey, never mind. Would you all like to come back to my house for some cabbage soup?" And Alexander and Christopher and Auntie Lisa and Chad and Andy and the Hares of Havoc and Sky all said, "Well, okay, yes, please." But really, they were thinking, "No, thank you, no cabbage soup." Anyways, they all went back to Bob's house and they had some cabbage soup, which they forced down because it was disgusting. And then they had some ice cream, because every story should end with ice cream. And that is the end of the story. I love you. Bye-bye.